your venture in gold and diamonds, that was quite remarkable. You hit a milestone of over $100 million.
No one did this in the country. I was like one of the first ones in the country to do this. I just got a store, put a table in it, we buy gold, and people started coming in and selling us gold. We'd advertise. I opened one store, it was killing it. Within like another couple of weeks, I opened a second store. Within 3 years, I had over 300 stores. Each store, was making ridiculous amounts of money.
Well, welcome to Nursing Real Wealth. Today we're joined by the remarkable Abraham Gray, an entrepreneur who kickstarted his journey at 15 years old and has since bought and sold hundreds of businesses with many standout achievements, including that of making over $100 million from gold and diamond business. Abraham brings a wealth of experience to the table. Beyond his success, he's a dedicated mentor, guiding others on their path to success. We're thrilled to have you with us today, Abraham. And I look forward to gaining insights into your mindset, strategies, and the principles that define your exceptional journey. Welcome.
Hey, what's happening? Good to see you.
Well, appreciate you coming on today. So, would you mind just giving us a little bit of insight into your journey into entrepreneurship? Just kind of lay that groundwork for what led you to where you're at today.
Yeah, so I had kind of a rough childhood growing up. I kind of, my parents got divorced, ended up living with one and the other, and then really didn't get along and was always a troublemaker. So ended up moving from foster family to foster family to foster family. Then I went to a boarding school for a year and a half, and then a few other foster families, and then finally moved in with my grandmother in Atlanta. And that's how I ended up in Atlanta, and I've been here ever since. But when I was living at all these different, foster families, I didn't really have anyone I was super close to because I didn't have any brothers or sisters or anyone like that. And I didn't really get to do a lot of things I wanted to do. I had to kind of do whatever people told me to do, and I hated it. I hate listening to people. I want to do whatever I want, And the one thing that kind of got me by when I was younger was sports. I really love sports, and football was probably my favorite sport. And I used to collect football cards, baseball cards, all that stuff growing up. And then when I was 15, I started going to some baseball card shows. And I started selling some of the cards I had. I bought some other ones. And I was realizing I could buy some and then sell them and make money on it. And I grew it into a business. And it was fun because it was something I already enjoyed doing, sports. And I was starting to make money. And then what I saw was when I was starting to make a little bit of money, I didn't have to listen to people anymore. Because once you have money, you can kind of do more what you want. And I kind of really like that feeling. So so I got really good at buying and selling baseball cards and then eventually other stuff. And, from 16, 17, 18 years old, I just started making a ton of money doing it. And I put all my focus in it. I didn't go out. I didn't party. I didn't do anything other kids probably did. I just focused on growing this business. And that's kind of how it started. And from there, I just went from business to business and then had tons of businesses at the same time. And then eventually, by the time I was 19, I saved and made $1 million in baseball cards, saved it. And then in my late 20s, I was able to, make my first $10 million. And then in my 30s, I had a business where we made over $100 million in profit. And that was in the gold. But, I've had a lot of other good businesses since then. And I have tons of businesses all at the same time. And then, of course, throughout this whole time with all these businesses, I've been doing a lot of real estate. When I was 22 years old is when I started in real estate. Someone that a good friend of mine was doing a lot of real estate. He's like, look, you need to diversify. You need to do real estate. There's a lot of money in that as well. And that's how I got into that. He kind of showed me a few things. And then I just kind of learned from him, just doing stuff. And now I do a lot of real estate and business.
That's awesome. So obviously starting a business at 15 is relatively uncommon, but starting a successful business is quite impressive. Was there anything in particular about that specific venture that really shaped your mindset towards entrepreneurship?
Yeah. First off, it was an industry that I really, really was passionate about. I really enjoyed. I love sports, and I was in the sports card. So it was something that I had a lot of experience in. I used to watch all the games. I used to know all the stats. I used to know all the players. I knew who was all the up-and-comers and all that stuff. So I was really passionate about it. But I really put everything I had into that business. Literally, I wouldn't go out with my friends. I wouldn't go out at night. I wouldn't go to parties. I would get online. And this is, back in 1990. But I would get online 1990, 1991. They had Prodigy was the big thing back then. And I would go online and search all the boards and see who was buying stuff, selling stuff. And I mean, I literally focused just on that stuff and gave up, all the fun stuff. And just like, I remember going to all these different shows and going and like picking up big boxes and moving stuff, and I didn't care. I just wanted to be as successful as possible. And I put that in front of everything else. I just really wanted it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said you did one of your first major business acquisitions at the age of 23. Mm-hmm. How did you do that with creative financing?
So throughout my baseball cards, I would actually be at all these different baseball card shows, and I would buy other dealers like full collections, but I didn't really consider that buying their business because I would just kind of buy their collections. But my first real business, what happened was from sports cards, it's transitioned to Beanie Babies. That was my second business, and back in like 1997, Beanie Babies were like the hottest thing that existed. And the way I got introduced to Beanie Babies is at every single baseball card show I started going to, there were people set up with booths full of Beanie Babies selling Beanie Babies. And of course, in the beginning, I was like, what in the world are people selling these stupid stuffed animals at baseball card shows? But once I saw how busy they were compared to the baseball card the booths, I was like, wait a second, let me figure out a little bit more about it. So eventually, in the beginning, I started making fun of them because they were all like soccer moms that were setting up selling this stuff in the beginning. And then people realized there's a lot of money in it, and then a lot of people at baseball cards, especially me, started figuring out how they got it, how they bought it. So there was a lot more money in it. So I got into Beanie Babies. And eventually I was doing both. And then I kind of got rid of sports cards and just did Beanie Babies because there was a lot more money in it. Well, I ended up having a retail and wholesale business. I sold a lot online. I sold a lot at shows. And the next step was to basically have an online presence. So I opened up a website, started selling stuff on the website, and then one of my competitors a year later was like, look, I'm thinking about getting rid of my business, or selling it or whatever. If you're interested, I'm happy to work a deal with you. And that's how it all started. So I bought one of my biggest competitors. I was pretty big in the business. He was really big in the business. We were both top 5 type, websites in the Beanie Baby collectible space. And we worked a deal. I paid him $600,000 for his website. This is back, I was like 22, 23. This is like in 1999 or something like that, or I was 23, maybe 1998, 99. Anyway, I bought his business and I was like, look, I had $600,000, but I didn't want to pay him all up front. Then I can't buy a ton of those because I'd run out of money. So we worked a deal where I kind of listened to him of what was important, why he wanted to sell the business. And, he told me all these different reasons, and I figured out a way to where I'd give him the amount of money that he wanted up front, but then also be able to pay him over time. And, it just worked out really well. So I structured the terms based on his needs, and I ended up paying him around, it was around like $80,000 up front, but I ended up giving him one of my cars that he really liked when he came and visited me and was teaching me stuff. So that took most of the money. So I had to give him a small amount of money up front. He took one of my cars that I didn't really need. It was just an extra car. And man, from there we became really good friends. And I'm still friends with the guy today. But it was a really good deal for him. He got what he wanted. It was a good deal for me because I was able to cash flow. I made payments to him of however many $1,000s a month. I was making double or triple that. So I would pay him a part of the profit. And once I saw that, within 6 months, I was like, holy shit, I need to start buying other businesses that I could add to this business. So I actually bought 2 or 3 other companies that were in the same industry. And ever since then, any other business that I ever got into, I would always go out and try to buy competitors or buy people that had similar type customers to where we could cross sell to, instead of marketing is really expensive. And instead of just spending a ton of money on marketing, why not buy another company and you double your business overnight? That's just a way smarter idea. So that's kind of how that all came about. And now I do that constantly. Literally I'm buying tons of businesses every year that are adding to my current businesses. So it's blown it up ever since.
That's awesome. I'm intrigued. You gave as part of your down payment, if I'm understanding that correctly, you gave him a card?
My Porsche, yeah, I had a Porsche Boxer at the time, and that I used. I had like two cars, but I had a Porsche Boxer. I kind of had fun with it for a while, but he actually liked it a lot, and I think it was worth like 60 grand at the time. So he ended up, instead of me paying him 80 grand, I think I gave him, I don't know the exact number, but I gave him like my Porsche Boxer and like 20 grand or something like that.
Gotcha.
Instead of
okay. That was my misunderstanding. I thought you said a card, like a baseball card. I was like, what? I need to know more about baseball cards.
No. This is a Porsche Boxer, yeah.
Okay. A little different. Okay, that's awesome. Goodness. During your time now you said your childhood was a little bit rough and you spent some time in foster care. During that time in foster homes, did you encounter anyone that guided you into the realm of entrepreneurship?
Not at all. No one I lived with was like into entrepreneurship. Everyone I lived with, they were school teachers. I lived with a therapist. I lived with, someone that owned a bail bonds company. Just random stuff. Not anyone that really, they kind of like bought and sold like I was doing. No one did that. So I just kind of learned on my own just from going to these baseball card shows.
Interesting. Were there any influences at that point in your life at all, even outside of the foster care homes, or do you think this was a lot of just your own initiative?
So I didn't really have any like good like mentors or not, but when I started going to these baseball card shows, I met a few people that were really cool people that had booths that were like 20 years older than me. And I would hang around them, and I learned from them. So I did learn from other people that were at these shows. And then there was another person that was a few years younger than me that was very similar and young and collected cards, and I was selling and buying cards. And we actually connected a lot and started doing stuff together. So, I had a lot of good ideas that he learned from. He had a lot of good ideas that I learned from. And we kind of helped each other. And then we both learned from other people that were like the best in the industry, from all the different, events that we went to, and we became really good friends with some of them, and that's kind of how we learned. Really, our mentors were just people that were ahead of us, by having a bigger business, and eventually, of course, our goal was to way surpass them, which we did eventually.
Yeah, I know as you've grown in your entrepreneurial endeavors, you've mentioned that there are other mentors now that have been serious impacts on have had serious impacts on your life, and you mentioned Tony Robbins playing a very significant role in your life. Could you elaborate on his specific impact? And
when I was really young, my mindset wasn't really that great. Like mindset's like super important. If you don't have a good mindset, like you can't succeed in anything. And my mindset's like unbelievable now. Like I probably have one of the best mindsets of anyone you know. But back then, it was kind of wishy-washy. So I would listen to a lot of Tony Robbins stuff, and like as soon as you listen to his stuff, you're like, oh, so gung-ho. You're like ready to. Your whole mindset's totally different. And I realized, from him to hang around more positive people and learn from those type of people. So I would literally listen to as much Tony Robbins as I could. And then once I got into real estate in my early 20s, there were Carlton Sheets was one of the big like creative finance real estate people back then. And I bought all his tapes. Like I went on, I didn't care what it cost. They were all cassette tapes. I would listen to them all the time, and then did a lot of his. He was sort of like the Pace Morby of today, But at the time, he was the top of the people that were doing it, and he talked to those people, and it was pretty cool. So I listened to all the Carlton Sheets stuff. I listened to all the Tony Robbins stuff. So I learned how to get better in real estate, and I learned how to just shift my mind to make sure that I was a positive person, a happy person, help people, did all these different things that, grow yourself. And those are the people that, you have to listen to. And then, of course, eventually, as I got older, I met other people that were really cool, and I made sure the positive people, successful people, and the cool people that I met, I would try to hang around them as much as possible. And, a lot of their good stuff would fall off on me.
Yeah. I'm literally just going through the book, The Power of One More by Ed Milet, and he talks about the guarding of your inner circle, and that the folks that you allow to be in your inner circle who make the biggest impact in your life need to align with where you're wanting to go. And if they don't align, then they should go into the outer circle. They can still be, somebody that somebody that you love, but they're not going to be the influencers of your mind per se.
And you don't be around them that much. I mean, I have had a lot of family members that are just negative, and like I won't even let them talk to me. Like it's just not worth it. It's just going to bring you down. So it doesn't even matter. Because you want to make sure you stay around positive people and people that are going to lift everybody up, because that's just going to make your life better.
Yeah. Yep. That's excellent. Aside from Tony Robbins and Carlton
Sheets, yeah. Because how old are you?
I'm 35.
You're 35. I'm 48, but he was probably popular, back in like the 80s and 90s, maybe. And you might not have been into. I think he died like 5 years ago or something.
Okay.
He's an older guy now. I mean, well, he's dead, but if he was alive, he'd be pretty old, I think. So, but he was just someone that was a creative, really creative guy in buying and selling stuff. So he was someone looked after. And there was a couple other people like him, but he was the best at the time. And I started buying properties creatively by listening to his stuff. So I actually bought a lot of properties at one point, doing creative stuff. But Pace, obviously, everything that Carlton taught, Pace teaches, but 100 times better and 100 times more stuff, because stuff has progressed since then. But so now, a lot of the people I look up to now, obviously Pace is one of the ones. I learned a lot of real estate creative stuff from him, where I've bought tons more creative deals ever since I met him, 4 years ago or a few years ago, 2020. And Janelle Danzy is someone that I look up to, and this guy, a bunch of different people like that. Another person is Carl Allen. He's the one that about 5 years ago I met, and was one of the ones that did Creative Business Mind. And I always did it, and I was always really good. I always made a ton of money, but he just kind of did it a little differently. So I kind of changed a lot of my thinking and a lot of the way I did stuff once I met him and went through his courses. But there's a lot of good people out there. I mean, definitely you need to find the best people in every industry, or the people that match what you want to do, and learn from them. And you could do stuff so much faster and better. And maybe you could become friends with all these people. These are regular people. They're not like special, superstars people. They're regular people. If they see that you have a lot of stuff aligned or in common, they're going to want to hang out with you and talk to you, as well. I love so I do these masterminds every year. I've been doing them since 2020 for business. And some of my really good friends, that people just came to the events and we became friends, that I saw what they wanted to do. We were similar, and a lot of them I'm partners with. A lot of them we just became good friends. So that's what's pretty cool about a lot of these people that I look up to. And now I'm like really good friends with them.
Yeah. Kind of like the law of attraction.
Yeah.
You start to attract people that are of similar goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So kind of shifting into your business ventures a little bit more, your venture in gold and diamonds, that was quite remarkable. Yeah. You hit a milestone of over $100 million. Could you just briefly share the story of how you kind of ventured into that industry, and what insights and lessons you gained from that experience? It's just such an interesting niche.
So the gold industry was crazy. So again, the reason why I got into that literally is because I have a network of people that we talk to all the time, and every single time somebody does something that they're doing really well or make a lot of money with, they tell the other people in the network. So I have like 5 or 6 really good friends at this point, or at that point, that we all are entrepreneurs and we all try different things. And when we try something that works, we tell other people how to do it. And, we let them do it in their cities. We're all in different cities. So this is back, I was, at the time I was really big into this thing called Webkins. They're like stuffed animals. It was after Beanie Babies, but they're called Webkins. And those were as big as Beanie Babies actually for a while. Making millions and millions of dollars doing these things, buying and selling these. And literally, a friend of mine, one of these guys called me, and they're like, "Man, you don't understand. Like, I started buying gold and I'm making a ton of money. I got to show you how to do this. And at the time I was making so much money selling these weapons. Like, I don't have time right now, but like, just give me a few months, whatever. And like a week or 2 weeks later, he's like, dude, fly out and see what I'm doing. You don't understand how good it is. I was like, I know nothing about gold. I don't, whatever. I'm making a lot of money. He's like, come. So I was like, all right. So I flew out there and I saw literally, he had lines of people selling him gold. Like, he set up at these hotel events. He put these ads in the newspaper and he would have lines of people. And what's crazy is I didn't know anything about jewelry, what it's worth or whatever. He was showing me like what he was buying everything for. Like, afterwards, he's like, look, I just paid this person $300. What do you think it's worth? I was like, I don't know, $400? He's like, no, it's worth $1,000. I was like, what? You paid $300? It's worth $1,000. So he was buying stuff for like a third of what it's worth, or 20% or 30% or whatever, 40%, depending on, how good he was at negotiating. And he had a whole system. And I was like, holy shit. So you could like triple your money and buy. He was buying like tens and tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff every weekend. And I was like, holy crap, all right, let me learn about it. So I stayed in his office for a couple of days. He showed me how to learn how to, know if gold was real, what to pay for it, what carat it is. And then eventually, I learned diamonds and watches and everything else, jewelry, silver, coins, whatever, paper money. And so we opened, that's how I did it. Like, from there, I came back and I started doing my own gold thing, and literally went from doing some hotel events to being like, that's stupid. We're spending a lot of money in advertising every week doing hotel events. Let me just open a store. No one did this in the country. I was like one of the first ones in the country to do this. I just got a store, put a table in it, we buy gold, and people started coming in and selling us gold. We'd advertise. And it was just so much better to do it in a store than in hotels in my mind, because you don't have to advertise every week. You're going to a different place. You could just constantly have people come to the same place. And you're open all week instead of just on weekends, or, whatever, instead of missing days. So we did that. I opened one store. It was killing it. Within like another couple of weeks, I opened a second store. And then literally from there, I went to 3 stores, to 5, to 10, to 20. Before you knew it, I had over 300 and some stores in like the first probably, 3 years. Within 3 years, I had over 300 stores. Each store, was making ridiculous amounts of money. And I had 3 other partners that I did it all with. And we all had our own roles. But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy time. Like 2011 was like the best year. That was the year gold hit the top, the highest it ever was. And we had lines of people just trying to sell us gold. And they were selling us their gold at like 30% of what it's worth, 35% of what it's worth. So like for every $1,000 we bought, we would sell it for $3,000, $3,500. And we were buying like, with 300 stores, we were buying millions and millions of dollars every day in gold. So like we were making millions of dollars every single day for a long period of time. And eventually we put the business for sale and we got really close to selling it for like 150 million. But what happened was we started selling it right when the top was about to like kind of settle, and then all of a sudden it started going down. So during the due diligence of when we were selling it to the people, the hedge fund we were selling it to, the private equity firm, as the numbers started going down, they ended up backing out. But so we ended up, just running it until it kind of hit like a certain number, and then we sold off a lot of the stores individually for like pretty good price to like a lot of our employees and managers. And then the worst ones we ended up shutting down. But we were in that business for a good 7 years, a good strong 7 years. And then the last year is when we started selling them off. So it was a fun business. But from there, we went into other businesses. And again, it's these people that are in my network. Instead of having 5 or 6 people now, I probably have 10 or 12. Any single time we hit something that makes a lot of money, we all do it. Like I found escape rooms back like 8 years ago, became really popular. Well, there was a lot of money in it. And I found about, I started telling all my other people in my network, I'm like, look, let's do escape rooms. They're really good. And then another one of my friends is like, look, I'm doing axe throwing. That's really good. I found someone and the numbers are there. They would show you the numbers. And so now I started doing axe throwing and I had escape rooms. And then, all these other businesses that are really, really hot that I do, it's because someone in my network tried it themselves and they did really well with it. And they kind of gave it to the other people. And we kind of either partnered together or kind of did our own thing, but we'd always help each other. So, and we all had stores in different areas of the country. Some on the West Coast, some Midwest, some Northeast, some Southeast, and we would have a lot of data. So we had so many locations between us we would know if the market's getting better or worse. If you have one or two stores, there's only so much data you can have. But if you have stuff all over and tons of stores, you really could see the market a lot better. So we had, a lot of that would help everybody. And we would, if they tried something that worked or they tried something that didn't work, they would tell us, we would tell them. And it was one of those things. The thing about the gold business that was really cool was that we got into it in 2007, 2008, and that's when kind of the recession started happening, 2008, 9. So we were able to literally get the best locations, like on main roads with great signage, for the cheapest prices because most people were going out of business. There was a lot of empty space at the time. We were able to hire some of the best employees for like way less than they were worth because it was massive layoffs at the time. And the price of gold went from $300 an ounce to like $900 an ounce, like the same year. And then every year went up another 100, 200, 300 an ounce. So like everything lined up perfectly for that particular business that, when we got into it. But so what I always tell people is, yes, I make a lot of money in a lot of different businesses, but a lot of it's just so lucky. Like if everything didn't line up the way it lined up, instead of making 100 million, maybe we would have made nothing, or maybe $1 million or $2 million. So a lot of it is, getting lucky. Obviously, we put ourselves in positions to get lucky, but really all these baseball cards, Beanie Babies, Webkins, coins and gold and, escape room, all that stuff, like just happened to work and we got really lucky. But again, we got in the right networks. We did the right diligence, but like everything, comes together if you're, with around the right people, but you got to get a little lucky too.
Yeah, that makes sense. With a history of buying and selling all of these diverse businesses, they all seem to have very different specific niches that they fall into. What is a common thread that runs through all these ventures that makes you capable of going and running them all?
I mean, the thing is, it's like, do you ever, I would explain it like this. You ever gamble? You ever go to a casino?
I've never done it, no.
Never gone to a casino. You ever play poker?
Nope.
Dang, really? All right, so if you go to a casino, they give you chips to bet, right? No, people don't bet with dollars because it's too much. So there's like a white chip or a blue chip that's like $1. Then there's like a red chip that's $5. Then there's like, a $25 green chip. Then there's a $100 black chip. Then, there's a $500 chip, $1,000 chip, $5,000, $25,000. Anyhow, they're all different colors. So what I'm saying is people that have a little bit of money, they're going to bet a whole bunch of white and red chips. Someone has a lot more money, they're not necessarily better or worse players, but they're going to use green chips and black chips. And then if they have a lot more money, they're going to use purple chips and so it's basically all the same thing. You're just doing it at a bigger scale. Like you could, like someone that's really good at betting or bad at betting, you can still bet the same amount. So with a business, once you understand how a business works, 90% of every business is the same. It's accounting, it's marketing, it's managing the employees, operations. So a very small percent of it is knowing the business. Like literally, how many times have you watched Undercover Boss? Have you ever watched that show?
Little snippets of it, yeah.
Right. So if you watch Undercover Boss, these are the people that are the CEOs, the owners of the company that make the most money in the company. They go into these businesses and they're cashiers or they're whatever they have to do. They have to make stuff and cook or whatever. They can't do any of it. So the point is, being very successful in a business, you don't have to know very little about the business. You hire people that know a lot about the business. You just have to know about the reason why they make all the money is because they're good at the important thing, which is 90% of the stuff. It's the marketing. It's how you get the people in there, the branding, the accounting, the legal, all that. So once you understand that, all these undercover bosses or all these rich CEO executives that you see that make a lot of money in one company, they can go from a company that's a telephone company to a company that's an entertainment company to a company that's a food company. They'll still make a ton of money. It's totally different industries. They know nothing about the industry, but they understand business. They understand how to make a successful business. So the industry you're in eventually doesn't matter once you understand business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think you just answered my next question. My next question was, how do you approach buying businesses where you don't have direct experience? But you just kind of answered that, really.
I never buy a business. I never buy a business that doesn't already have a management team in place and a whole bunch of employees in place. I never buy businesses and try to find a manager or have to hire everybody. That's one of the main purposes of buying an existing business is you don't have to do all that. It's already done for you, So it's a big mistake to buy a business and then have to run everything yourself. The only exception to that is if you're buying a business that it's a competitor or something, and you can plug that business right into your own business. So if you don't have people, it doesn't matter because you have people in your other business that could run it, or you can combine them. But unless it's a business that you 100% can combine, you have to buy a business that's already got like managers and all this, or else it's just going to be a headache.
Gotcha. So could you share what characterizes a motivated business seller? Because I know you're always, when you're buying businesses, you're going for the motivated business seller.
No. So it's very similar to real estate. Like literally the same characteristics that make a motivated real estate seller is going to make a motivated business seller. And then there's a few extras for business. But the top one for business is probably retirement age. People that want to retire. You're only going to work a certain amount of time. Like no matter how good your business is, you're not going to work till you die. Most people, So retirement's a big one. I bought a lot of good businesses from people that they need to retire. And some of these people I bought business from are 75, 80 some years old. Like they just can't work anymore. They don't want to. They want to enjoy the rest of their life. Divorce is a big one. I bought a few from people that are getting divorced. Sometimes they just don't want to f with their business. If their mental state is not there, especially if they have to fight over who's going to get the business and what the business is worth, so it's easier to sell it. Sickness. People that are going through some sort of terrible sickness, like a lot of people get diagnosed with cancer. You think they care about their business? They just want to get rid of this cancer. They want to treat it. They want to get healthy. They don't feel good. They don't want to do it. And it could be them being sick, or it could be their spouse, or maybe their kid, or maybe their parent, or somebody that they care about is sick, and they just can't focus on their business. So that's something else that makes somebody really motivated. Another thing is a lot of people move, right? Just like in homes. Like if you move, you got to sell your house. A lot of people, if they move, they got to sell their business. Like in theory, if you move, you don't have to sell your business, but 90% of people think that they do because they can't run it from remotely, which is not true, but that's what people think. So when people move, that's a really, really good one. Another one, people just get burnt out. Like a lot of businesses people have, and I've had tons of businesses like this. They were so enthusiastic. They loved that business when they started it, or at whatever point, and then they just got tired of it. They got sick of it. Like maybe there's a food that you used to love and you just want to eat it every single day, but at some point it's like, all right, I don't love this food anymore. I had enough of it. You know what I mean? So the same thing with business. They just got sick of it, and that's it. Another thing is better opportunity is a big one. So a lot of times someone's making $300,000-400,000 a year at their business, but they have another opportunity where they can make $1 million at a different business, but they can't do it both at the same time. So they have to pick. So they'll sell their business doing $400,000 so they can make, exchange for a business they can make $1 million. Sometimes the better opportunity is money. Sometimes the better opportunity is lifestyle. So sometimes you're like, well, yes, I'm making all this money, but I'm working, this many hours, and I'm working and I'm living in this state that I don't like. Maybe they can move to another state. Maybe they can move to the beach or the mountains or whatever they like and have a better opportunity in life. Or maybe they want to be closer to their kids or their grandkids, and stuff like that. But the list goes on and on. Like sometimes businesses are just stagnant. Like their plan was to grow it, and they just can't grow it anymore. And they're like, you know what? I'm just burnt out, and somebody else might take my business and grow it more. Let me sell to somebody else, because most people that I'm buying businesses from that are selling their business really, really care about their employees, really, really care about their customers, really, really care about the reputation of that business because they're attached to that. And they want someone to take it on that can take it to the next level. That makes them proud. Their business is like their kid. Like literally they spend more time at their business than they do with their kids or their spouse. So they really love that business like it's a family member, like a close one. So they would love to see somebody be able to take it to further steps. So that's another reason why they're like, look, I've got higher offers from other people, but I know you're the one that's going to take this business to the level that I want because you've done it in these other businesses. You're the right person, or we've talked and we have the same vision. So these are a lot of different things. Of course, sometimes people just need money, for whatever reason, so they want to sell it to get a certain amount of money. Sometimes they're a serial entrepreneur and they're just starting stuff, making it to a certain level and selling it and starting again. But the list goes on. You got a good idea. I gave you like the biggest, most important things.
Yeah. You indicated that a lot of these folks will live at their business, and that's one business. And you've got hundreds of businesses, and you're not living at your business.
No. What's
the big difference there?
The big difference is that I have a manager in every single business, and I have partners that in most of my businesses. Well, yeah. So my partners in most of my businesses either run the business or they run the managers that run the business. So I would say most of my partners don't actually run the business. I have a bunch of businesses where my partners actually run the business day to day. But most of my businesses, I have partners that just run the managers. So there's a manager that runs the business day to day, but my partner runs the operations. So, I'm more of the visionary. My partners are more, the people that, put it all together. So we just work good together. I find partners that are different than me. So I can do what I'm good at and I enjoy. Typically, whatever you're good at is what you enjoy. Typically, what you are not good at, you don't really enjoy so much. So I find people that enjoy doing the stuff I don't enjoy and are good at the stuff I'm not good at doing. And, we work really well together. And that's how I don't have to be there. Because if I have to do operations on all these businesses, I wouldn't be able to have more than one or two businesses, and I would be miserable, and they would probably go to because I don't have the patience, to manage all these people.
Love it. Let's say I'm in the market for buying a business, and I want to learn how to, I want to buy a business today. And what goes into the average deal?
I don't know if there's an average deal, but it depends on what type of deal you're buying. I would say there's some businesses you can buy within a couple of weeks. There's some that take 6 months. If you're getting an SBA loan, they usually take at least 4 months because it's a long process. But that's after you found the business and are trying to buy it. But we do a ton of owner finance deals. We do a ton of deals where there's a little bit of cash up front and then the rest over some period of time. Those you could do literally within weeks or for sure within a month or two. I bought tons of businesses that within 2 weeks I owned the business or less because they weren't financed. But if you're going to finance a deal, then they're going to take longer. And then also, it's just a matter of how long does it take to find the deal. Sometimes you can find deals within, pretty fast. And sometimes you might search for 6 months and not find a deal that you like. You just have to plan once you find the deal, the business that you want, have your buy box and figure out, how you're going to finance it and make sure that business and that owner aligns with the way that you need to buy it. But yeah, I would say there is no average deal, but when I see people buy deals, it could range from within a month to within a year, to buy a business.
Nice. So when you're evaluating businesses, I'm assuming there's a certain volume of businesses you have to kind of look through in order to find the one that makes sense. What are, some KPIs or what, that your team has to go to underwrite daily or weekly to be able to identify?
When I look at businesses, I'm looking for businesses doing at least 6 figures profit a year. So typically at least $10,000 a month in profit. If businesses are making less than that, I usually don't look at them because it's not worth the hassle. Unless it's a bolt-on where it's a business I already have that I'm just adding onto it, then I'll buy ones that don't do as much. But if it's a new business that I don't have or it's in a totally different area and it's a standalone, it has to be making at least 6 figures. A lot of people won't even buy businesses unless you're making at least $20,000 a month. $20,000 a month, then you have a decent business. If they're making under $10,000 a month, you're basically more or less buying a job more than a business typically because it's not making enough and you have to spend more time on it. And if it makes the business that make a lot of money, you can hire whoever you need to be in that business. So, it's more, you don't have to work there. You don't have to buy a job. But that's crucial. Obviously, the other crucial thing is I want to make sure that the management team is in place. The owner that we're buying it from is not the one that runs everything and does everything and everyone knows them. As soon as they leave, the business falls apart because all their customers are attached to the owner. That's a horrible business. Then, I look for businesses that have been around for a while. Ultimately, the best case scenario, businesses have been around for 10 years or longer. I love buying businesses that have been around for 10 years or longer, but I do buy businesses that have been around 5 years or longer. Most businesses that have been around for a year or 2 years go out of business. almost all, like literally 90% of businesses that have been around that just started, I think 92% or 93% within the first year out of business, lost all their money. So it's every year, the percent goes down, but really until you get to like 5 years, the numbers don't make much sense. At 10 years, you're really safe. At 10 years, it's a good business. And then as far as valuing it, we look to see how much money the business makes, like profit, right, net. And we look at their P&Ls, we double check it with their tax returns, we double check it with the money going in and out of their account. And we pay like a multiple of the profit they make. And it's usually on average around three times what they make. I buy some businesses for 1 or 2 times what they make. I bought some for 4 or 5 or 6 times what they make. But typically we're looking for somewhere between 2 and 3 times. The reason why you pay a lot more is the business is a lot bigger, better business, or if you get really good terms, right? If you get really good terms on the business, you can pay more. But typically 2 to 3 times is what you target of what a business makes. You get a return back within 2 or 3 years.
Nice. What types of businesses make lots of money and don't take up much time for the owners? Take up much of the owner's time to run.
What type? Say that again.
What types of businesses make lots of money and don't take up much of the owner's time?
I wouldn't say that there's a type of business that does that, because any business could do that. Like, it doesn't matter if you own a garbage company or if you own, really an entertainment company, or if you own an IT company. There are some that lose money and are terrible, and there's the people that are the best at it make a load of money. It doesn't matter what business you're in. So it's not really the industry, it's more the good management, the good customer service within the industry. I wouldn't go after a business that is not making a lot of money, because it's going to be really hard to turn around and grow it. I think any industry, there's people that make a ton of money. I don't care what industry you pick. There's going to be businesses in that industry that make crazy amounts of money, and there's going to be businesses within that industry that are going out of business every year. So I wouldn't say that there's one industry that's necessarily like, oh, once you're in this industry, you're going to make a ton of money. But overall, people are always needing home services. So like, you're always, needing new roofs and electrical and plumbing and your yard's cut and all this stuff. So, that stuff's pretty solid. If you get a good home service business, that's always going to be needed. But there's not a business out there that if you buy it, it's always going to do good or always going to do bad. It's, how you run it, how you market it, how your customer service is, how, the management, all that is going to matter a lot.
So it would come down, what I'm getting from that is it would come down to the numbers that you talked about even earlier, that it's going to come down to how much it's making per month, and the management structure that's already in place.
And how long it's been around for is important.
How long it's been around for. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
How motivated the seller is a big one too. That would be the next one. Like, if you're trying to buy a business and the seller isn't motivated, like literally you're going to pay 2 or 3 times what you'd pay from a motivated seller, and you're going to be paying a lot more, and your terms are going to be a lot higher. If you're buying from a motivated seller, they'll give you the best terms, they'll give you the best price. So like, finding a motivated seller is key. You cannot buy a home from somebody that's not motivated. You can't buy a business from someone that's not motivated. You can't buy anything from someone that's not motivated.
Yeah. Yep. Where could somebody who's listening today, where could they learn to buy these kinds of businesses? I know, obviously there's the Zero Down program and Sub 2. Are there other places that people can learn these skills?
I do like 3 masterminds every single year that are like 3-day masterminds. You come, we teach you like everything. And, just people ask me questions all the time. So we actually have, I'm in Atlanta, we have local meetups every month here that we talk about stuff. We have real estate ones, we also have business ones. But if you just, I have a YouTube channel, Abraham Gray. If you go on my YouTube channel, I make tons of cool videos about different businesses and, how they do good, different things about them. But anyone that messages me on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, I answer everyone's questions, email, so really, but if you come around to local events, if you're in Atlanta, then we spend a lot of one-on-one time and go through stuff and whatever you exactly want to know. But if you just message me, I'll answer it.
Nice. For our listeners, I'll be putting Abraham's YouTube link and his Instagram link in the description down below. I think I may already know the answer to this question, but Could you share your perspective on the types of businesses that are absolutely not advisable to buy? Does it still harken back to just those numbers, or are there certain types of businesses that you should never just should never touch?
I mean, you shouldn't touch a business you know nothing about, have no interest in, don't enjoy, don't have anyone to help you. Those are the businesses you shouldn't mess with. Like, I personally am not good with IT. I'm not good with, just very organized type stuff. Like, just stuff like that I'm not good with. I'm not book smart, I'm street smart. So, like, I wouldn't get into stuff that, like, I'm just not good at or don't enjoy. Like, the only way I would do that is if, a partner came to me and was like, oh, I'm really good at this and I want to do this. So if you have no interest and not good at something, you should never really get into those unless you have a good partner or someone that, is good at it that can do it. But I would stay away from shit you're not interested in, don't enjoy, don't have any experience in.
Yeah. I kind of want to get into a little bit of your wealth philosophy as well. A lot of people have mentioned, I've seen on many videos, the fact that people have mentioned that you usually choose flip-flops over shoes, and you don't typically wear, high-end luxury products and things like that. It doesn't seem to be the thing that you go for. And, our media kind of promotes this narrative that the wealthy really accumulate their abundance for a lavish lifestyle. It's sort of a stereotype of the wealthy. So, but the way that you present yourself and approach, the approach taken by many others that I'm familiar with in our community, really contradicts that narrative. Can you just share your philosophy and the purpose for your pursuit of wealth?
Yeah, well, everyone should get what makes them happy and gives them enjoyment. Like, wearing like nice stuff and all that stuff, I just don't care about it. Like, if I cared about it and it made me, happy, I'd probably get it. But like, I dress average or below average for sure. There's no question. I don't own any jewelry. I just don't enjoy it. Like, it's not comfortable. So that's why I don't like any of that stuff. But I do have a really nice house. My house is one of the more expensive homes here. I don't really care about expensive cars, so I never had like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, all that stuff. But I get like whatever car I find comfortable for me. So like, I have a Tesla. My wife has a Tesla. We have it's comfortable. Like, we charge it every night, so like we never have to get gas. They're really like smart cars. To me, it's like an iPhone of cars. Like, if you don't have an iPhone, you're crazy. But to me, if you don't have a Tesla, it's like, you're just losing out on a lot. So who the hell wants to get oil changes and gas and all that? It's just a hassle. So plus, it's so smart. Like, it could do anything, but it can actually drive me to work and drive me home without me even doing anything. But so I get what makes me feel good. So just clothes and jewelry and all that stuff doesn't make me feel good. But so I just don't get it. It doesn't make me happier. And I don't like just spending a ton of money on stuff that, like, I could use that same money to invest and make money. I have more enjoyment, like, seeing my money grow and seeing me invested into stuff that's going to make money than to buy stuff that, like, doesn't really excite me that much to begin with, and then it depreciates. It's not worth anything later.
Right. Mm-hmm. You're also known for making yourself very available to teach and help others. Like you mentioned even earlier, you answer people's response, your questions on your Instagram. Why take this approach instead of pursuing a more private and luxurious lifestyle? You certainly could.
I was very private for a long time. I only started doing social media probably back 2019. Around 2019 is probably when I started doing a lot of social media, 1920. I just wanted to see, I saw some other people doing it, and I honestly saw a ton of people in social media that blew up back then. And I was like, dude, like, I have 100 times more money than they have. I have way more success than they have. But they started having like crazy following. They didn't do shit, they talked like they did. And I was like, you know what? Like, that'd be kind of cool, because I saw what they were able to do with their following. And they were able to, the following now is worth more than money almost. Like, having millions of subscribers on YouTube is probably worth more than having more money than that person in the bank, because they're gonna, at some point, they're gonna overpass you, because you can use that to make a lot of money. So I just wanted to go the route of getting my name more out there, teaching people. It's really, really fun to help people. Like, once you have like a certain amount of money and you're set for life and it doesn't matter, like seeing other people like that learn from you be able to be successful, there's like something that's like, oh man, that's awesome. That's like an awesome feeling. So anyone that's a teacher, anyone that like a coach, anyone that's done anything and seeing the people that they've taught do well, there's like some sort of high with that, which is kind of cool. So that's part of it. The more that you help people, the more that you answer everyone's questions, the more deals that come to you. So some of it's selfishness, some of it, like, I know the more that I help people, the more that I'm going to be able to talk to a wider range of people and I'll get more deals. I'm a deal junkie. So like, if I didn't talk to anyone, nobody would know what I'm doing. And it just works out to where the more you help someone, it ends up helping yourself more than you would even think. You don't necessarily do it because of that, but that's usually almost always what happens.
Yeah, kind of the principle of the go-giver.
Yeah.
That Pace is always talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I watch people like Pace and stuff, and I see Pace does that. Jamil does that. All these people do that, and they live such a happy life. They're so successful. I'm like, shit, you want to do what other people that you look up to and successful doing, so you do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, in January, you're going to be speaking at Ryan Pineda's event, WealthCon, with quite a few other notable guests. Do you want to share a little bit about that event and then how some of our listeners might still be able to attend? I don't know if tickets are still available, but
there are tickets available. I'll have to give you the link to put in there because I have like a 50% off code. I think it's my name, like GRAY50 or something. I have to look, but I'll tell you what it is. But yeah, 50% off. But it's a big event. There's always 1,500 people plus in attendance, and they have some big speakers. This one's cool. I'm speaking January 10th. I think 9:30 in the morning. I think they give everyone like 45 minutes or so. So I'm putting together a whole new presentation I've never done before, which is there's only so much you can teach somebody or do in 45 minutes. So I'm gonna do like a really motivational stuff, kind of talk about my life story to some degree, like in a little bit more detail, with how I was able to do certain things and how if I'm able to do it, like I was a nobody, like anyone could do it. And I'm gonna show you the past to do it. So that's kind of what I'm putting together. It's going to be a really cool presentation. And it should be very motivational to get other people to follow suit.
Awesome. Well, Abraham, thank you so much for generously sharing your time with us and your experiences and insights. To our listeners, your time with us is truly valued. I trust that Abraham's journey has sparked inspiration and provided valuable lessons for your own entrepreneurial pursuits. As we navigate the world of wealth building and entrepreneurship, remember the power of investing in yourself and fostering a relentless pursuit of knowledge. Your journey is unique, and success awaits those who persist. Stay tuned for more enriching conversations on future episodes of Nursing Real Wealth.